and this is the Alchemy of Sexual Healing. And now we're going to talk about the middle part of this story. So you have the beginning, and that's where it looks like everything's normal and you're just going right along, and then boink, something occurs and you realize, oh my God, and this is setting us off to the middle of the story. So I told you that what I started realizing was that honestly, I had forgotten the date rape that happened in college, and I completely had forgotten the child sexual abuse, the incest. Completely wasn't part of my world. So when I had this awakening in the Mojave, it was confusing, to put it lightly. But just being able to have gone through that moment was huge toward catapulting me into the healing mode. So I went through about 10 years of denial. The next 10 years after that awakening, complete denial, except that I did try to get a person from my home to come into a therapy situation and talk with me about it, but the person basically said, "You're insane." And that was really frightening, because I didn't have enough grasp of what was going on myself, and to hear this person who I really trusted and was an authority figure tell me, "You're crazy." It was devastating, really devastating. And so then I tried to annex the part of me that had this incredible realization, and basically I was saying to her, I was saying to myself, to that part of me, this is doubtful. What's it called in a story when you have a narrator that you can't trust? Well, that's what I felt like. Okay, you're seeing this thing and telling me this thing, but I can't trust you, because this person that I thought would at least tell me the truth told me that what you're saying isn't true. Okay, that gets confusing, but there is that sort of psychic divide, that split between, am I telling the truth? Is this real? Or no, that's crazy, and why would you ruin your life? So I kept going back and forth and trying to reconstruct my old, really successful life, but not doing it well. So I embarked in art school. I got into an amazing art school, and I started working with my hands and doing found object assemblage. And I started using all these materials that were from my childhood. I didn't really put it together so much as being a part of the trauma. I had no idea, but here's what happened. So I didn't have to doubt it for very long. So I was living in a loft down in Venice Beach, and my boyfriend and I lived there together. We were both artists living in this loft, and it was just a beautiful life. Except one night we were upstairs, and then we woke up in the morning, and I went down, around the little spiral staircase into the little bathroom, and in the shower stall was one of my pieces, my art pieces, from the wall down, and it fit exactly in there. It was catty corner in the shower, and I ran up screaming, "Why did you do that?" I thought he had to have done it. I didn't do it, and I was just thinking he was playing a joke, but it was psychologically traumatizing. And I ran back up, and I explained to him, and then I brought him downstairs, and we looked in the shower, and he was like, I didn't have anything to do with this. And I knew that he was telling me the truth, and it frightened me so much that a part of me was showing me something. It was trying so hard to communicate with me through my work, which was very to the bone, authentic work. It's the work that got me into the art school. It was really powerful work. And it had to do, as I said, with the materials that I was using from my early childhood. So I knew that I needed to deal with this part of me. So here we are in the middle of the story. I needed to deal with me but I didn't know how. And therapy was not helping. Talking wasn't helping. It was a little bit, and if you feel drawn to it, definitely you should do it. I am glad I did it in the beginning. It really helped me be able to function in my life. And I was journaling a lot. Like I had rows of journals. I was journaling so much. So I was really trying hard to put words to this place in me that felt so ephemeral. It was like a dream, a nightmare. And I was trying to make the nightmare 3D by making art through it, not directly through it, but very abstractly. And my subconscious knew what I was doing, so that's why I put the piece, I walked in my sleep and I put the piece in there to communicate with myself. So this is the kind of thing that can start happening, and so don't be freaked out if it does. Or if you want to be freaked out, that's fine, but I'm just telling you it's natural, and it's good, because it's the part of us that is so wise and so helpful, and it will just keep on and on trying to help you. So eventually I learned that if I asked questions from my heart, what happened, or what is this, all kinds of questions, whatever was relevant for me at the moment, when I did that, I got answers. Not in the moment usually, and not maybe in my journal, but like during the day or the week, or I would see it in a movie and something would catch and I would think, oh, that's part of my answer. I would feel it in my body. So the clues began to come through my body somatically. And that's when I realized, oh, there's something here I can trust. Me beyond the identity that I think I have. It's in me, it's in my body. And there's this thing called the Akashic Records. If you study alchemy, you'll hear of the Akashic Records. And it basically is like a quantum theory, a way of looking at the way the universe is constructed three-dimensionally. It has all of the information about anything that ever happened. It's all in this place we can access. So before the quantum theory was something I was aware of, I was using it. And I was using it through my body. I was learning through yoga and meditation and journaling and art and doing walkabouts through the forest and all sorts of things that I call limit experiences. Things that I did that were not advisable, not safe, but they were what I needed. I became very addicted to certain behaviors, and I basically was able to allow myself to start trusting the part of me that on an energy level was having this dialogue with me through whatever it could have it through. So you'll develop your own dialogue. So mine started out, with just these synchronicities and these serendipitous events happening, like Carl Jung talks about. If you have read his work, he's really helpful. You can just Google him. He was Freud's protege, and then he kind of embarked on his own. He's not so helpful with incest in particular. As guys, I guess you have to go through it to really understand it. But on the inside of incest and child sexual abuse is a whole nother story. It's an identity unto itself to be integrated. So the dark side, like in every movie, like if you watch Star Wars or Indiana Jones or any movie like that, you've got this dark force. Well, for me, I began to understand this is its own entity. Child sexual abuse, incest, these modes of destruction that coalesce through sexuality. They're not about sexuality, really, in my experience. They were more about power, but that's a whole nother story. They coalesced as a force that worked through sexuality, and of course children are the ones who are available to that. So, and children don't have words usually, so they're, fodder for these predatorial energies. And we're going to talk in the third part of this about that energy force a little bit more, as it compels a more expanded understanding and gets you out of victimhood, gets you out of the victim place. That's next.